in particular before this meeting, but also reinforced here, are development of R&D networks, Canada-California R&D networks in these areas, program applications, which I interpret to be a funded program for developing specific applications, and this concept of a test bed. And I assume that we're talking about, and this is my term, a bipolar test bed that would involve a linking up of test beds in both California and Canada. In terms of specific criteria that this group would like to see applied to green IT in the call for proposals, the first criteria is that proposals should reflect the ISO 14064, which relates to the green IT. Secondly, the second criteria is proposals should be multidisciplinary. What came out in the discussions is clearly that it's a mix of science, technology that will produce the solutions that are being sought. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Gretchen Kalonji is the Director of International Relations. Is that right, Gretchen?
It's actually called International Strategy Development.
International Strategy Development, which sounds a lot more important. Sorry about that.
It's suitably obscure.
Yeah. Working in the office of the President of the UC system. And she will talk to us about the Next Generation Digital Media Workshop.
We had a very far-reaching, fascinating, and I would say intellectually challenging discussion, which was led by our two co-chairs, Don McLean of McGill University and Sheldon Brown of UC San Diego. The theme is very broad, as you might gather from the title. And so there were a lot of ideas and possibilities put on the table, but it could be crystallized around a central goal that united a lot of proposed activities, which is the building of scalable, multimodal, distributed, collaborative social networks. I mean, that's the central goal. And the group came to a very strong consensus that the focus of applications should be primarily an art and culture domain, including film, music, gaming, etc. So I'd like to spend a few minutes on why we felt that this focus was particularly important. Well, first of all, the whole industry is of obvious huge economic importance to both California and Canada. You know, scores of billions of dollars are at stake. And it's also an industry that's very easy to lose. And many other regions have chosen to invest strategically in this area. So it's important we continue to maintain our edge. Focusing on the artistic and cultural domain is also really important for the technological goals, in that the requirements, technologically speaking, of the artistic activity, far exceed the other applications of these types of networks. Another reason is that the art is fundamentally important for human well-being. And I think Sheldon put it very nicely. You know, he said sometimes the artists look at the other themes, like saving people's lives from cancer, and wonder, well, what are we doing? And he said, well, what we're doing is making life worth living. So, anyhow, that's the proposed focus. And the strategic advantage that we saw in the community that's been brought together to date is the development of innovative content. So it's not so much focusing on having one community focusing on the technology and another community focusing on the artistic content, but these interwoven sets of skills that are emerging in new classes of professionals who merge both pushing the cutting edge of the technology to creating the art. We also have an advantage in this theme in that there already are multiple networks of collaboration in place between California and Canada that we can build on. So to give you a picture of some of the ideas that were thrown out with no time for any detail, the whole area of virtual reality and gaming was one that was discussed a good deal. There was quite a fascinating idea of working together on a virtual joint jurisdiction called Canada. There could be obviously many other options. The digital film area, our presence was enriched by 2 representatives from the National Film Board of Canada, and quite a lot of people in our academic community also work in that area. The broad theme of tools to promote remote collaboration in a variety of disciplines. Then the area of sort of new media objects and cultural heritage preservation was one that was put on the table. How to do this structurally, an idea that resonates somewhat with the experience of the Cancer Stem Cells Consortium, would be the creation of a digital media exchange infrastructure between our areas. And the topics that would need to be addressed in this infrastructure include the issues having to do with collaboration and social media, metadata objects database, and cultural issues having to do with that, technical ownership issues, various jurisdictional filters. Surprisingly, quite a lot of differences between California and Canada, including the whole set of legal censorship issues, which really challenge to a good degree creating this kind of more harmonized digital exchange infrastructure. And then privacy issues, and perhaps most importantly, the whole issues having to do with user experience, quality, and perceptual meaning. So with all of these activities, it was exciting to note that there's a wonderful opportunity to integrate this with new educational programs and activities for our students. Many of the institutions, both within the University of California and in our Canadian partners, are creating new programs, including degree-granting programs that combine aspects of technology and computer science and art and music, etc., and are generating exactly the kind of workforce that has that bimodal working capacity. And so one could envision for all of the projects that I've just listed having collaborative student activities embedded within the curriculum in which they work together on building elements of this grander vision. And of course, the flip side of it is that we are in turn then more effectively generating a workforce for the future for California and Canada in these important areas. So it's envisioned that the kind of community that's brought together in the further planning processes for this initiative includes the technology, includes the arts, includes the social sciences and psychology and the law and IP issues. So it was, as I said, a very fascinating, very exciting set of discussions. We did not spend much time on the call for proposals, but the main feedback that we have is that the draft that it currently is in existence is far too broad in its scope of next generation digital media potential activities, and what we really need to focus on initially is the set of arts and the arts and cultural domain.
The workshops that you've heard described so far represent researchers talking to each other, exploring themes where there may be some potential for collaboration. The result of that collaboration, obviously, is the creation of intellectual property. There is a 6th workshop that was meeting this last day, looking at the issue of what are issues related to cross-boundary creation of intellectual property. Angus Livingston is the managing director at the University of British Columbia for the University Industry Liaison Office, and he'll tell us about that workshop.
Well, it was a real strong group of a dozen of us that were down harbored in the basement of this building.